taking this in for a different view right now. We're on the side. Still going to work on the vermicompost, or the rabbit house a little bit later today. I wanted you to see the back of this rain barrel. What we did was we attached, I built this frame that I think I talked about the other day in my other video, and attached it to the cage, which I then, with Alphonse's help of course, put 2 poles across, 2 poles down, and 1 nailed there to support it. And there's another post attached to this water catchment system that it's supported on this side. I'm going to tie everything together to make it a little bit more secure. And what I think is really cool, I don't know if I can get a good image of that, but yesterday these poles right here that I'm pointing at were too small on one side. We found 2 of them. And so I'm like, oh, what's he going to do? Stick 2 of them together, wrap them up? That's not going to be very sturdy. But what he did was he took a piece of wood and chopped it narrower on each side, and then use it as a connector between the 2 poles. That's ingenuity right there. Anyway, so as you can see, this is going to be catching vermicompost. There's 2 drainage is on either side. As he said, he does not want to collect the liquid or worm tea, because that is not good for the type of plants that Montana will be selling, which are more leafy greens, and now have just too much bacteria to apply it. If you just look down here, I mean, it doesn't look too great because I thought that we would be having a run on the bottom of the ground, so I dug out this area that's covered in the water that's been going on with the rain for the past like week. But yeah, got some rocks. This site has a lot of rocks. Lots of rocks. You're not even seeing the half of it. And I'll just bring it over here for a better view. Kind of just a little more on the rabbit thing. We put up a little bit more of a fence over here just because the trash is there and we don't want people seeing the rabbits and disturbing them, throwing rocks at them, scaring them or anything like that. And yeah, we've got the pond dug out that's filled up with a lot of water from the rain in the past couple days. And we've just been building rock beds. Can't really see it very well, but these rock beds, not these ones here, but the triangles in the middle actually make the shape of a star, which I'm going to be taking pictures of on top of the roof tomorrow if the rain and weather looks a little bit better. But yeah, we were gonna actually, with this bed right here, we were gonna build it higher up, probably to waist level. And a lot of the permaculture books that we were reading, it's a really great way to increase the surface area of a bed, as well as make accessible to anybody to pick plants, because, you know, the higher up, people don't have to bend down as low. At the same time, you know, it's still absorbing lots of water. But because it's so close to the pond, Montana requested that we don't make it any higher than this, just because there could be some issues with runoff or things toppling over. Who knows with the weather, right? You know, you never know how much rain. We had 800 centimeters of rain when we first got here, which was pretty crazy. It's Nikki talking with somebody next to a teepee. Dido with the wheelbarrow as usual. Yeah, I mean, this site obviously is not finished. We're still going to be putting sawdust down and putting the signs down and doing some finishing touches, putting lime on the rocks to make it stand out a little bit more, but it's been a little bad with the weather. But we'll be taking some video later of the rest of the organoponica. This is kind of like the permaculture area, so we're allowed to do things a little differently than the organoponica side of things, and that's thanks to the foundation that I'm working with. Yeah, these plants over here, actually, I'll show you, in this bed. So 2 weeks ago, we built this bed. 2 weeks ago. And we actually took, I don't know what it is, but that's spinach and onions and a little bit of marigold on the sides there for some natural pesticides. But we actually just, here you can take the spinach and just cut it off, and the onions, and plant it back in the ground, harvest some of it, and it will grow more. It's kind of very well rooted. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's a little muddy, but these things 2 weeks ago were babies, like this big. Not to size with the background, but this big. And now they're like in full bloom. I'll actually even take you a little bit further. This is our little mandala, classic design shape. We planted a tree in the middle, which will get pretty big. And there's access points coming through. Watch out for the barbed wire, Marley. You know, you've got access points all around going through with the paths. Here's some more beds that we transplanted, another point of the star. Here in Cuba, they're really interested in symbols, and I'll discuss that a little bit more later, the symbology and history of Cuba. And this is a ranchon that we came up with for the center of the star area, and like kind of a teaching area. And a ranchon is basically posts with a living roof. So that would be pretty cool. They transplanted some beans in there, so that'll start growing up. I mean, in this weather, things grow up so fast. I mean, look at these. These were transplanted 2 weeks ago as babies. Like, I can't express to you how fast things grow in this weather. You can throw something anywhere and it'll start growing, basically, as long as it's not too hot for. And I mean, we just got rain this week. I mean, we had a dry spell for 2 weeks straight. I'm talking 50-degree weather. Literally with the sun, because we have no shade in this area, as you can see. Complete and utter amazingness. I mean, yeah, these are some more transplanted areas. If you look over here, I'll show you where we planted some seeds 2 weeks ago. These are seeds of beans. Granted, yes, beans do grow fast, but beans and spinach that we planted 2 weeks ago and are now this tall. You don't get that in the northern climate of Prince George or anywhere in Canada, I don't think. I mean, maybe Okanagan area. Yeah, and actually here, I'll show you the organiponico side of things. So Montana has had this site, or this organiponico area, for about 16 years now. And thanks to the foundation and his friend Roger. So with organiponicos, you need to have, they're very strict on regulations. I mean, it's great, and it's a way to provide local food to the community. But with organiponicos, you need to have very straight lines. You need to have specific things planted on the sides. If you see right there, there's a bottle on top of a stick. That's a type of a natural chemical pesticide. And by chemical, I mean it's like very natural, like some, I think, liquids from a plant, actually. But yeah, like on the sides, you need to have specific things planted in the organiponico. They have to be widths. Straight lines, which we've learned in permaculture, is not the best way to maximize energy or space or the flow for certain areas. So I mean, this over here too, I'll show you some pictures later, which I have, was actually straight lines as well, but we maximized our energy and the placement, and we actually placed these in a different way to give it a little bit more of a nicer flow. I mean, instead of walking in a straight line, which was kind of cumbersome, now you have little keyhole areas. These are called keyhole beds. And a keyhole bed is basically, you have these access points on either side. So the whole principle is I can lean over and tend from either side the whole thing. So not the whole, you know, like I can tend half of it from either side so that I don't have to necessarily walk in a straight line to get to one area. I can walk into these little keyhole areas right here. And this actually maximized the production area, except for the middle. Obviously we took that out because we wanted a nice little teaching area. There is a high school right over there, and the kids have been really helpful in coming in and helping us out. It's been wonderful having them here, great energy. And we actually, yeah, we've maximized the production area with this space, maximized the energy. I mean, Montana is 67 years old and still going strong. He's got his grandson, Dido, helping him out, but Dido's just waiting for his military enlistment, which should be coming up pretty soon, and just kind of killing time. He'll be going to university after he's done with the military. Another fun thing about Cuba is, I was showing earlier, I guess the ingenuity or the resource or the MacGyver-ness of the situation. This is their scaffold. Not very safe, but it's 2 barrels on top of the flattened surface, surface, with a piece of wood on top, and some barbed wire just right around the area, Maximo hammering it up. Yeah, and so I think that's all I wanted to show you for now, but I'm sure I'll have more video later to showcase from the roof. When it's a little sunnier, hopefully I can get a better look at things. But yeah, this is beautiful. 2 weeks ago, this stuff was transplanted or planted from seed. It's already doing amazing. One other thing. We were gonna put in swales right here. Swales, maximize. When we first got here, it was raining. Like as I said, it rained for like 3 days and had 800 centimeters, millimeters, or whatever is the amount that they usually get in a year of rain. We got in like 2 to 3 days, and it was so we wanted to come out here and plan out the site a little bit more. It was so wet, and the water literally runs from the back through here through to the front. So what we decided to do was to put in swales, which are dug out like almost trenches, that would direct the water through the path into the pond area and out through the runway. Now unfortunately we ran out of time because swales do take a little bit of effort, especially with like depending on how the soil is here. Like, I mean, it's just been too wet to dig and also to fortify the walls. But swales basically maximize the water. Permaculture, the principle is using something as much as it can be used. So we're taking this water that's from the rain and we're directing it through beds, winding it through, just like the natural flow of a river. And you have plants growing on the side, and it's taking this water that would normally like be directly in a path and moving it through the beds, maximizing the use of water, keeping things nice and wet. We've got the mulch, sand chips, rice husks down, which would actually keep the moisture in. And it would go right to the pond. But unfortunately, it does take a lot. And this site has a lot of rocks. I don't know if you can see these, but I mean, you dig a rock out, there's 4 underneath, and then probably another 5 and 6 one, but we only went 4 deep of rocks. And then a little bit farther down into the ground, there's actually gravel. So it's quite hard to dig this, and it does take a lot of maintenance in its first year to set up, and we were worried that Montagna might be, we didn't want to leave him with too much work afterwards. So yeah, that's our site so far, and I'll show you some pictures from the rooftop later.